Get started. My name is Farah Friedrich, and I'm from the University of St. Thomas, but I'm also on the Higher Ed Advisory Council, and I am here to be the moderator for this session today. And with that, I would love to present or introduce our presenters, Gwen and Mike from the University of Colorado, and they're going to present on Game On, Transforming Tech Adoption with Gamified Learning. So I will hand it over to them.
Great, thank you. All right, so hi there. I'm Gwen Delia.
And I'm Mike Wolbrom
from the University of Colorado System Administration. Together, we make up the training and outreach team within the Office of Advancement. Our mission is to empower our CU Advancement and CU Foundation staff with the tools and knowledge that they need to succeed. Most of our work centers around building and facilitating technical trainings, primarily those that focus on our Salesforce instance that we call CU Ascend. You'll hear us refer to Ascend throughout this presentation, but you can just consider it another word for Salesforce or whatever you've named your instance at your institution. And we're excited to share with you today how we tackled end user adoption through customized trainings, and more importantly, how we made mandatory learning a bit more fun.
So to get started today, we want to take a moment to talk about why this conversation matters. Salesforce offers a ton of resources on how to use their tools, but from our perspective, most of those resources are geared towards back-end users and system administrators and are too generalized for our custom managed package that was implemented, or not directed at the large portion of our staff on the front end doing their day-to-day work. The staff that we support are brilliant at building relationships and driving impact, but they need training that speaks to their language and shows them how to do their jobs in Ascend, where they're not spending time configuring the system. So that gap is where we come in. Our mission is simple, but critical here in CU Advancement: translate complex technology into approachable, actionable training for non-technical users, and make new knowledge stick so they could move into a new system and do their jobs as seamlessly as possible. Our focus is on helping with user adoption, and when launching Ascend, our staff were used to a very old, clunky system, and the trainings produced by our team were a critical component of change management. And that's what led us down the path of creative solutions, self-service resources, and gamification.
So let's rewind and set the stage, because this journey explains why we approached training the way that we did and the lessons that we learned along the way. The project to launch Salesforce for CU Advancement was already underway when in December of 2019, the training and outreach team was born. We quickly partnered with the project team launching Ascend, embedding ourselves in the sprints and becoming key players in enablement. We needed a training program to support over 400 end users, empowering them to use new technology, and to do so, we took on the roles of training testers and supporting communications, service delivery, and change management efforts. To start this training program, we identified the top 10 key areas for trainings to build first. But to nobody's surprise, those 10 didn't stay 10 for long.
So as we got ready for launching Salesforce, our plan included 4 instructor-led courses tailored to advancement job roles, a general course that was designed for everybody to take, one that was for prospect managers covering things like submitting proposals and logging contact reports, one that was specific to stewardship and financial experts, and one that was specific to reporting. Plus, there were going to be required access trainings with a pass-fail test at the end, because permissions are not a free-for-all. Our plan was to have all of this delivered before Ascend went live, and we partnered with subject matter experts as co-authors and co-trainers. They helped us identify what staff needed and helped us deliver it. But did we mention that we were building these materials while Ascend was still being developed? Our SMEs were learning at the same speed that we were, which means lots of assumptions based on gathering requirements of the new tool and lots of rewrites as reality panned out. Our plan relied on others on purpose. Gwen and I are not experts in every advancement area, but when you're in the front of a class running a training, you do need to sound like one. A question asked without an answer is a trust breaker in your trainers and a quick way to lose an audience. Anyway, that was the plan at the time.
But you know what they say about best laid plans. They're really great until reality shows up. So we had contingency plans, but then life happened. That small thing that was the COVID pandemic, really high project team turnover, which resulted in project deliverable and priority shifts, and then building out a system for a diverse staff across 4 campuses, a central office, and the CU Foundation. Mike will tell you all the specifics in a moment, but generally speaking, our best laid plans fell apart when the project timeline shifted after we had already opened enrollment for training. We had anticipated a new date, but we were prepared for the original go-live date. And the consequence of a delayed project timeline meant a loss in end user trust. And that was all the more reason for training to become the face of proper change management moving forward.
So our priorities shifted. First to change was the training plan that we had designed as a key to a successful launch. Those 4 role-based, instructor-led courses we mentioned earlier, one by one, they fell off of the plan as we identified end-to-end processes that weren't ready for our initial go-live, hence the postponement Gwen just mentioned. Plus, the sheer amount of time instructor-led training demands on us and our subject matter experts who were busy building the actual system. So instead, we focused on our deliverables on self-driven learning materials that would support future instructor-led classes rather than the scripted classes itself. That top 10 list we mentioned earlier quickly evolved into 60 plus, while our 4 instructor-led classes dropped to just 1. And this was a massive shift for our relationship-focused organization, such as ours, filled with staff that like to communicate individually. The one class that did survive was called CU Ascend Basics. It was a general, one-size-fits-all training that focuses on introducing new users to the system and covers navigation, key info, and help and support that every user needs. And we're proud to say it's been a hit. After 80-ish sessions, post-training survey feedback is always overwhelmingly positive. Attendees tell us that they leave feeling confident and capable, and it lives on today as the only instructor-led training for Ascend that we run every month. But not every training shifted. Our access trainings were non-negotiable, and I think rightfully so. There were 2 online courses with tests at the end that users must pass for access, and they launched as planned and were used by managers to prep their teams for go live. So hooray for not completely starting over when things got difficult.
So changing our approach from those instructor-led classes led to something better. It led to self-service training. This allowed for a faster turnaround, and it helped us to flex our abilities to make training for all rather than training for some. As you can see from the video on the screen, this included user guides and videos for nearly every single subject covered to accommodate various learning styles and accessibility. And it wasn't a one-stop shop SharePoint page for all of the training information. So instead of a full prospect management course, we offered bite-sized resources like those on proposals, contact reports, strategies, which led to us accomplishing the same goal, but with more flexibility. And by the numbers, this was a huge win. Those 4 planned courses turned into 60 plus resources by go live, and the training page had been viewed over 5,000 times by our go live date. And nearly every single resource came in multiple formats. So we had videos and accompanying user guides, best practices and tips, and some even had interactive Captivate activities.
After we built the trainings, the question remained, how do you get a busy staff trying to do their regular jobs to take said trainings early enough to ease adoption? Or at the very least, not wait until after lunch. So we didn't want a situation where staff didn't try to learn until it was too late and then they couldn't do their job. So cue the best motivator, gamification. Thanks to our close partnership with the communications team, we paired every training resource with a gamified element to boost adoption as they rolled out. And yes, we did it without breaking the bank. It was a simple approach, quizzes disguised as game show trivia, a clever way to reinforce training content without duplicating efforts. We turned learning opportunities into quizzes and then later into Kahoot games and used them at sit downs, all hands, and team meetings. A quick shout out to our senior program manager of internal comms, Will Angel, who served as game show host at every opportunity possible. He was our very own Ken Jennings. On the screen, you'll see a snippet of our gamification SharePoint page. It's a home to a long list of short quizzes promoted through campus communications and key stakeholders. The goal was to make training engaging and fun. And it wasn't just us saying, take the contact report training. It was ace the quiz and earn a spot on the all-star leaderboard, because who doesn't love bragging rights?
And those perfect scores, people really, really, really cared. Yes, it was just a digital gold star, but our staff across all of our campuses were determined to catch them all, which gave really strong Pokemon vibes. We updated the leaderboard several times a week, and campus leadership were able to sweeten the deal with rewards on their own campuses, including things like lunch, prizes, candy, extra time off, and in some cases, even dollars. Some of our campuses even created their own support squads. So our friends at Anschutz called themselves the See You Ascend Friends, and they served as an embedded resource to help colleagues climb the leaderboard. Our enthusiasts at Boulder hosted weekly office hours to share training tips and answer questions in real time. And at Colorado Springs, they divided their staff into Mario-themed teams, and they pitted learning prowess against each other. So gamification at the end is not just for the purpose of fun alone. There's also this element of tracking completion for change management efforts. By recording who is completing training with these leaderboards, we were also able to report to our campus leadership who would be able to be most ready for launch. And that way, they were able to address gaps in learning engagement, identify champions on their campuses and teams, and provide support or encouragement where needed.
So in the training world, we say that learning outcomes comes in 3 flavors: knowledge, skills, and abilities. So reading training materials and answering questions, even when they are cleverly disguised as game shows, that only covers knowledge. Our 1, 2, 3, try me activities shines the spotlight on skills and abilities that we hope people are taking away from our materials. These activities simply delegate bite-sized practice tasks that all follow the same step-by-step format. Step 1, review the existing training materials for a specific area. Step 2, log into the practice UAT environment. And step 3, complete the task at hand. We designed specific examples that were outlined in our user guides and videos and asked folks to try to complete those tasks on their own in a practice environment. They are hands-on learning experiences like adding an object to your navigation bar, editing a contact report, creating a case record, or tweaking a list view. And now, instead of just trying to read and understand a process in theory, our users would have true practice with the tool. Campus partners loved it so much that they made their very own versions and tailored it to their units. They would rewrite our examples to use real-world use cases that they were dealing with at the time. It was hands-on, it was practical, and it was exactly what our users needed to feel confident. Don't worry, there were leaderboards for this too.
So looking back, that postponed launch was a huge blessing in disguise. Instead of being stuck in classrooms during the go live, we were able to be on the front lines in the command center answering real-time questions. And that extra time, it allowed us to really practice with the tool and become true experts. And it also allowed us to hear a lot of the common questions and prep additional training materials to come out post go live. And finally, probably one of the biggest things is we were able to really support the tech team as tier 1 triage. So we weren't able to get in there and fix any of the bugs or adjust anything, but we could lighten their load by answering the questions to the end users. And if we could do it all again, We would start with those self-service resources from day one. We would use instructor-led a lot more sparingly because it's a great idea, but it's really resource heavy for a team of 2. And we would work to make the content really digestible and approachable because 60+ resources can feel incredibly overwhelming to a first-time user who's trying to learn a whole new system. The biggest takeaway for the 2 of us is that perspective matters. In our case, everyone was juggling a massive technology shift on top of their normal day jobs. Success came when managers and system staff kept that in mind and supported their teams by including learning in performance goals, making time for training, and by leading for examples.
So if there's one thing we want to impress upon you all today, it's this. Training isn't an afterthought. It's a launch strategy. The earlier you start, the smoother the transition. And we want to end this presentation with sharing some of our top tips for training adoption. The first one is put the horse before the cart. An end goal of gamified learning is important, but you can't make game shows without learning materials first. That's like Family Feud without surveying 100 people first to organize the top answers. Start by developing the materials because that will be the biggest hurdle. Then use what you have to make it engaging. Our second is view partnerships with your subject matter experts like a contract. You need their expertise to build the most accurate training materials possible. And they need your training materials to answer and cut down on the questions that are coming in. Position your training team to be on the receiving end of questions. If someone asks you something like, how do I use the global search bar? And you don't have materials ready to share immediately, you just got the topic for your next learning opportunity. And the content comes from the answer you're already providing. Gamification doesn't have to be an expensive song and dance. A little friendly competition goes a long way in driving adoption. And there are free tools that can be disguised into various game shows. For us, we used SurveyMonkey for our quizzes and PowerPoint for Jeopardy. Also, keep perspective. Everyone's juggling change and their day job and everyday life. Support and empathy matter as much as content. Learning how to use that fancy new tool your organization is implementing shouldn't be the struggle that keeps your staff up at night. And your training program will be how you ensure that isn't the case. And to end on a strong note, training isn't just about teaching the tool. It's about building confidence. Start early, make it engaging, and you'll set your users and the use of your Salesforce instance up for success.
We wouldn't be trainers if we didn't leave ample time for questions. So that is the close of the formal presentation, the scripted part, but we'd love to answer any questions that you might have. And if you'd like to follow up with us after the fact, we'd love to chat offline as well. All of our contact information is on the screen, and we'd like to answer some of your questions.
All right, it looks like we do have a couple of questions already in the chat. So the first question that came in is from Anonymous. This is a great approach. How do you manage granting users access to a sandbox and production environment?
Oh, that's a great question. So when we run our CUSend basics class, what we do is the week before that class, we check everyone's access to make sure that they're going to be able to access the system. They've done their required trainings. They've submitted their access request forms through our IT team, and that has all been closed up before the training itself. That way, when we actually do the training, they can log in. While doing that, we're ensuring they have access to both the live environment they actually use for work, as well as the UAT environment they're going to use in that training. Then during the basics training, we actually, as part of the more basic information we want them to know, we practice logging in. So we'll make sure everyone in the class, even though we know they should be able to get in just from credentials alone, we make sure they actually can log in so they can do the hands-on activities within that instructor-led class. So by the end of this training, they have definitely gotten their access, they have practiced getting into the environment, and they keep that practice environment forever afterwards. Though we do give them lots of warning that it's a testing environment, there's fake data in there, people use it for testing, so you will see changes that might not seem like appropriate work, but it's like we have a fake example person we use a lot of the time. His name is training altogether. So people, if they want to practice entering things like contact reports, will go in and enter contact reports on his record. And then when we are running the training, we'll see contact reports we had never seen before live in front of an audience, which is always fun. So that's how we're guaranteeing they have that access. But the much more simple and shorter answer of this is when they get access to the live environment, they're getting access to the practice environment as well. That's a great question.
Great, thank you. And next question, how many people do you have updating your materials regularly, and how many users do you have across the UC system?
I will take this question. So we're a team of 2. You're looking at the entire training and outreach team. We update all of our resources. We build and update everything. And we have a fairly extensive calendar to be able to manage that. But it's a lot of streamlining processes. So we have an evaluation form that goes out. We review everything on an annual basis at a minimum. If there's a big, when they do like a release notes, if there is going to be a process or one of our trainings that's impacted, we do update that training more frequently. But normally everything gets touched at least once a year. It's reviewed by the subject matter experts and by our team, by the 2 of us, to make sure that everything is still accurate, the screenshots are still relevant, any walkthrough activities or steps still play out that way. And so that's how we manage it. It's very extensive. It's very streamlined. It's a process that continues to grow. Right now, we're just over about 100 resources, and we continue to build new resources regularly. I just put out some things on Tableau most recently. So it just kind of continues to grow. And then for how many users, we have approximately 450 users across the system. And that's 4 campuses, our central office, and then the CU Foundation. So I think that's kind of the ballpark.
I think it's also important to give a shout out to our subject matter experts. It's the team of 2 just here on the screen right now that's managing the, keeping an ear to the ground of when something needs to be updated. But again, we don't know everything. We're not in every conversation. We're not answering every single question. So we do rely a lot on, we have about 25 subject matter experts for various different trainings, not 25 on every single one, but specific to their areas. So we couldn't do it without them. We give them about a month to review what we've already changed and ask for even more changes because they're on the front lines. They know best, and we could not do it without them.
Great, that's the last of the questions that were in the chat. Does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask?
Looks like we just got one on release notes.
There we go. Yep.
How often do our release notes go out? So our release notes come out from our, we have a CU Ascend admin team that works directly with our communications team to do the more official sounding release notes. So those are like there's been a Salesforce update. This change is going to happen to the list views, things like that, the much more technical side of that. I know it's something that we are streamlining right now. It's not run by the training and outreach team, but we are recipients of it early so that we can figure out of the release notes that we're expecting changes soon, how, which trainings will that impact, make the changes appropriate, or at least note them to update them later, and then make sure all of our trainings are as accurate as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Great, and we just got another question. How do you receive feedback on materials from your subject matter experts?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So we have an evaluation form that goes out. So like I said a couple moments ago, so we have about 100 resources now, and I have a calendar that has every one of those resources in it, and it's slated to be reviewed sometime during the year. And so, for example, in January, I have about 15 coming up, which feels very heavy, but a lot of them are very short trainings. They're examples and user guides showing different list view kind of builds people can make. So for those, we have subject matter experts tied to every area. And I have an evaluation document, and that document's asking questions like, have there been any technical changes to this process? Is this example still relevant? Do the steps still exist? Are you receiving questions to your team about this area that the training could address or be used in a more like useful way to your end users? Are you hearing things that we're not necessarily hearing? And so that form goes out with the training attached to it. About a month before, I'm hoping to like get things updated. And then that subject matter expert, I give them a time estimate. So most of them, if it's just like a user guide or something fairly short, can be completed in a 10 to 15 minute review per training. Some of them are significantly more extensive. So we have some processes that are just much more complicated or are utilizing multiple objects or different systems, and it just kind of can expand. So I do try to let them know the time estimate. They also know because they worked with those processes. So it's about, it varies training for training, but we email those out. And then we use monday.com as our tracking system. So that's where our calendar is built out. And so they're also all tagged in there so they can see the dates and incorporate it into their own workloads. And then when that information comes back, I save all of those files in a very extensive folder structure. So every training has its own folder. Every folder contains the evaluation documents and then any of the training materials themselves that get updated in iterations. So if something were to ever happen and Mike's like, I need to jump in and take this one over for whatever reason, he has all of the materials available to him. So he can jump in and make those adjustments. And then we do that on an annual basis, like I mentioned. So every training is touched and reviewed on an annual basis. The exception to that is if the process is rapidly changing or there's a big technology shift that happens and we find out like, this process officially like no longer works. We need to bump this one up and make it so we're evaluating it more frequently.
Yeah, we're trying to, like we said with our tips before, viewing those partnerships as a contract and making sure we're giving them just as much as they're getting from us. We're trying to become better partners every day with this. So that includes, reaching out to them early and saying, does this calendar still work for you? Gift processing might be a subject matter expert on a handful of our trainings. Well, let's not give them 10 trainings to review in December when they're doing year-end gift processing. They're never going to be able to accomplish it in time. So, giving them some agency over when we are asking, while also us managing all right, it's been a year, this needs to be updated. Even if the update it's good as is, it does not need a change. It's at least been reviewed and approved by a subject matter expert. That way we're being the best partners we can when we're trying to receive that feedback. And I see
I did answer
Gwen
in the
answered this in chat, but the what do we use for calendar tracking? I love our calendar tool. It's like my favorite thing. I'm so proud of it. We use monday.com as a project management tool already at CU for things like our scaled agile program. So we just adopted what already existed here. We did not buy anything new. We just turned what was a very long, very, very long agile board into a calendar instead. So every project on that board was a training, and then we could tag our partners in it so that they would know when we heard of something to add an update. They can add comments as well to add those updates in. We don't get that too much, but they have the opportunity to. But then there's also, the calendar of when things actually got updated, tracked on there. We thought for a moment about adding files to it, but we don't like having the same file listed in multiple places because that's why you have duplicate efforts. We don't want to do that. I think Gwen is pulling it up.
I'm pulling it up.
She's going to share this. Here's a sneak behind the scenes of our training calendar tool. So it's just monday.com. This looks like what should be like an agile board with a long list, but really it's every project within here is its own training. When we mark something as under review, it means we've sent it out to the subject matter experts. It's in their hands now, not the training and outreach team. We're waiting to hear back from them. If it's work in progress, then it's back with us. We are doing some sort of edit. I really like our little has updates check mark there because that's a little indicator to us of this might be a heavier lift than the other ones. There are definitely a handful of trainings that do not change every year. The process has not been updated. There have been no new changes. It's good as is, but then there's plenty where it needs to change. A Salesforce update has happened, or a policy change has happened, and we're able to just quickly put a note in the comment and say, I heard this in a meeting, someone emailed me and said this, and note that, hey, this might not be a 15-minute review. This might require a meeting or some more time. If you want to learn more about our Monday, we had our emails up on the screen before. I would say feel free to reach out to us. We love this tool, so we're happy to show it off.
That's really cool. I've never heard of Monday.com before. Another question just came in. Is your system optional or required for the departments that you work with?
Depends on the department. We have over 400 users, but there are some departments that have now shifted away to not using the tool because while it was initially necessary, they determined as they started using it, it's not something they need to do in their day-to-day. And if we can free up licenses, that helps because that means we can give it to other people or save money, things like that. So it does depend on the department. Just to give some specific examples, we've learned that some more of our marketing teams might not need it as much, and they can lean on a liaison in their campus unit that can pull, if you need a list of people, things like that out, and they can focus on their jobs instead. So they might all be getting that. If you are a frontline fundraiser or supporting one, it is probably required.
All right, we do have a few more minutes left. Does anybody else have any other questions? Anything they'd like to see? Getting lots of hellos and great work.
Confetti everywhere, right?
Yeah, the confetti is fun. I don't know if last year if the confetti lasted this long before it was disabled.
It's neat. I want it on all of our Zoom meetings.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. Lots of great session. Good job, you guys.
Thank you.
If there's any questions after the fact or you think of it later, feel free to reach out to us. We live and breathe this stuff. We love talking about it. We'll probably talk until you're sick of hearing of us.
All right. Thank you, Mike and Gwen. I don't know if you want to just share your screen with your contact information one last time.
Yeah, we pop that right back up there. There you go.
If anybody has any follow-up questions that they think of after the session, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we do still have a couple minutes. We'll hang out here. And if you don't, thank you for coming.
And thank you, Farah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great job. Super fun. I admire your training. I started a Canvas course a couple of times, but it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm. You had a great session. I saw over, I think 72 was the highest number of attendees that I saw, which is great.
Well, I hope 72 happy people. If not,
oh, yep. There's another question I'll answer. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The recordings will be shared after the event. I believe they'll send an email out after where you'll be able to link to those. And I think they'll be on YouTube, if I remember.
I believe that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you all in the next session, which I believe, let me pull up my agenda. There is some sponsor customer cameos with Blackthorn, InterEdge, and Elevate Actual.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.